Welcome to LSB Feaster's Radio Aircheck and Classic TV channel.
And now, here he is, Tom Leykis.
Thank you for tuning in to the Tom Leykis Show. This is where America gets together to talk about the issues you really care about. It's a different kind of a radio talk program. We're the radio talk show that is not hosted by a right-wing wacko or a convicted felon. No. I am your host. Joining us on the line, Janella Spears. She is in Sweet Home, Oregon. Janella, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Are you surprised that you are the subject of a national story?
Yes, I really am surprised I'm the subject of a national story since I live in a town that's only 8,700 people.
How did the Associated Press and Fox News and others find out about you?
Well, the way they found out about me is that I reported it to the police department that because I talked to the FBI. The FBI told me that I needed to report it to the local police department. I reported a scam that I was a victim of a scam, and they didn't do a thing for me. I reported it over 2 years ago. They didn't do a thing for me. So I continued on trying to, quote-unquote, fix it myself. And after I tried fixing it myself, then I think it was just a fluke that the criminal investigator in Salem named Bill Gray was looking at the how many people have sent money to Nigeria, and he noticed that my name was on there, that I had sent about $140,000 to Nigeria in the past 6 months or something like that. And so he thought that I might be doing money laundering or something illegal. So they decided to do a bust into my house, you might say. And the funny part of it was that I was ready to go to work. I get into the car at 6:30, and then the police decide to follow me 2 blocks down the road, and then they put their little siren lights on. And I said, no, listen, I'm not speeding, just going 2 blocks.
Yeah.
I did not go past the sign, I did not go through a stop sign. I stopped at the stop sign. What is this, And then they turned around, they told me I had to go back home. Now, why were they sitting out there at unmarked cars? I don't know. But they were sitting out there at unmarked cars watching me leave the house, and then turned around and told me I had to go back home. And then they did a complete search of my house looking to see if I had any money, and that was hidden someplace in a strong box. The one thing he did do is that the strong box I did have of my dad's death papers I couldn't get into because I lost the key, so he was able to actually open up the key, and he really wanted to open it up just to see if there was any money hidden inside of it. And I told him that all it was my dad's death certificate stuff.
Yeah. Now, for people who haven't seen this story, and of course I've read it, and other people I know have read it, let's go back to the beginning here.
Sure.
You sent $140,000 to Nigeria. Why?
Why? Well, I know. The question is that the people who have told me that when I looked at an email that was written back in August of 2005, said that I had a dead relative that got killed in a car accident and over in Nigeria, and he had a son named Charles Spears, and this particular...
Do you have relatives in Nigeria?
Well, I didn't think I did.
Right.
I'm very white, and so I said I didn't think I did because I didn't think I had anybody black in my.
So you've never been to Africa?
No, I have never been to Africa, and
to your knowledge, you have no relatives in Nigeria. And you received
not that I know of.
Not that you know of. And not that you would have reason to believe you do either, right?
Well, no, the thing that did give me reason to believe it is because I did more research because I've done genealogy myself, and the genealogy research that I did is in the library, etc. And my husband's father, again, Spears is my husband's name, needless to say, because I'm married to a Spears. But my husband's father died before he was born. But we did meet the grandmother, and the grandmother was the one who was married to Otto Spears, and she divorced him because he was a womanizer and was always traveling and always going places that he shouldn't have gone. But the thing that matched was the two things that matched over the thing is that I looked at the census in 1920 census, and the 1920 census had him disappearing from America. He didn't die. Nothing happened to him. He just totally wasn't on the census anymore. And so God only knows where he went. He could have gone to Nigeria. Who knows? But the thing that was matching is that I had a different person, not the guy who sent me the email, but a different person doing genealogy research over in Africa in the library, and he sent me pictures of the Charles Spears income and what kind of work he did, and the income and the kind of work he did matched exactly to what my husband's father's the work that he did. He was a tool and die maker, and he was a tool and die inventor. And so anybody who's invented tool and die is going to be into some inheritance money. My husband was into inheritance money from his father when he died, and he did inherit just a little bit. Wasn't a lot, but it was enough just to get him into some college. But the rest of the family, there's 6 in the family, the rest of the family is kind of upset because they didn't get any inheritance money. So my goal was to try and get the inheritance money that was supposed to be, quote unquote, out there for my family, share it with the family.
Did you ever think to hire an attorney to research this for you?
I did. Of course, the attorneys that I had hired actually 2 different attorneys, and the attorneys were over there in Africa because it didn't do any good to hire an attorney over here. And I do have an attorney over here that has helped me as well.
But wait a minute. Before you sent money, wouldn't it have made sense to have an attorney suss this out?
I talked to the bank. What I did is I talked to the bank director who read the emails here in Sweet Home, and the bank director said if it's true, then they would send it to me without having to do upfront money.
All right, so there you go. And you had not heard about the millions, if not hundreds of millions of these emails that people receive every day? I mean, they make fun of them on Saturday Night Live. Yeah, they've been doing it for years. I mean, we make fun of them on the air all the time. I came on the air one day and announced that I was going to Nigeria because I'd received a letter from a foreign minister in Nigeria. Told me they wanted to deposit $127 million in my bank account. And when I said that, I was surprised at the number of people who called up and begged me not to go. Of course, I had no intention of going. It just didn't seem believable in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
And I'm just curious about how this could seem believable, that you would have to send money. Have you ever been through probate before? Have you ever sat through the reading of a will? Have you ever had any relatives leave you money? Nobody ever asked you for money in order to get the money, did they?
No, I've never actually inherited enough that I would have to go through probate. I'm just a normal middle-class family member.
I guess what's interesting about this story, and this is what fascinates me, is they took you through this entire, it's called the Nigerian scam, and it's been written about. Dateline NBC did a big piece on it where they sent a reporter to London to meet with the people who sent these emails out with hidden cameras and what have you. So it's been pretty well known for a while that this is a scam. What's interesting about this is, by all accounts, and certainly by talking to you on the phone, you are an educated, intelligent individual, because one would expect that someone would fall for a scam like this. Oh, what a maroon. I'm just curious about, all right, it started with $100,
right.
And then they told you to send more money. I mean, how did it get from 100 to 140,000?
Well, it just goes slow, let's put it this way. And, if I was to say that I was going to send that much money, I'd say no to anybody that says, well, you got to send me $140,000. I wouldn't have ever agreed to it. The funny part of it is it just goes slow. They say, okay, we just need $100 here, we need $50 there, we need $200 there, and it just adds up. And that's why, actually, I was kind of surprised when...
Well, $140,000 would be, what, 1,400 calls, asking for $100 a call? I mean, that's a lot of phone calls.
Yeah, you're right. And my phone bill's not the easiest either.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm curious about is why didn't you draw the line somewhere and say, you know what? All right, I sent in 100, I sent in 500, I sent in 1,000. Nothing's happening.
Right. Well, the reason why, there's a whole bunch of reasons why that the line wasn't drawn, because number one, they kept giving me, like, going around in circles. They say, we're going to give you to somebody else that's going to get it fixed, and because I believe the person that was going to get it fixed. The other thing is, okay, we're sending the person over to give you the money in person. The person's on the train, the person's in the plane, the person's stuck at customs, the person's stuck at the train department. Please send us money to help the person get here. The customs tag is the person stuck in customs, and so I call customs to try and verify customs. Is there somebody here waiting for me? Is there somebody here that you have arrested? Because
none of this. Wait a minute. None of this is believable. I mean, you're telling it to me, and I know you believed it.
Yeah, I did.
But it's not believable.
Yeah, I did believe it because, and I don't know. I just kind of have been the type of person that I believe something until it's proven wrong. And then, of course, how long do you have to go until it's actually proven wrong? That's the question, you know.
I'm the kind of person who doesn't believe something until it's proven right.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people are that way. And I don't know. I just was brought up with my family. My grandfather was my grandfather was a Baptist minister, and my dad was needless to say, PK kid. And we were supposed to always tell the truth. And if we didn't tell the truth, you know, we were punished greatly for lying.
But what made you think the rest of us got that same lecture?
Well, mainly, I guess, because I lived a sheltered life. I was an only child, and I never got into... People never offered me drugs. People never offered me... I never got into any trouble at all. People never offered me even to get into trouble.
But that's, of course, because you live in Sweet Home, Oregon.
Right, there's just very little. Well, I grew up, and I was born in Denver, Colorado, but I was brought out of Colorado with my parents back in 1954 to Riverside, California. But then I moved to Sweet Home, Oregon, and kept in the... my mother called it the backwoods. She called it very backwoodsy over here.
Yeah.
So, kind of, you know, I just kept out of trouble and never got into anybody who got into trouble. So I just, like I said, went all the way through college. Nobody offered me any bad problems.
Let's review some of this here, because I'm looking at the story, and I want people to hear what you believed here. Yeah. By the way, for those of you just tuning in, we are talking to Janella Spears of Sweet Home, Oregon. She fell for the Nigerian scam you've heard so much about, and she lost, was it $130,000? Is that how much it was?
No, actually, all total is close to $400,000.
$400,000. Yeah. Now, it says here that the people you talked to said that President Bush and FBI Director Robert Mueller, which is not even his real name, that's not the correct spelling, were in on the deal, and they needed your help. It says here, when you began to doubt the scam, you got letters from the President of Nigeria, from FBI Director Robert Mueller, and from President Bush. Do you really believed you had a letter from President Bush?
Well, let me tell you, my mother wrote President Bush's wife several times and got plenty letters, official letters back from her, and I've seen them. My mother said that she would always write the wife because the wife talks to the husband in bed. So since my mother had written President Bush several times, I didn't think it was that unlikely that I could have gotten something regarding President Bush and the Senate. And again, I had pictures of.
You didn't
this
think
Nigerian.
that President Bush would arrange a phone call or would arrange for some emissary to meet with you? Because it says here that you were told by President Bush that terrorists could get the money if you did not help.
Right. They were talking about that, some of the emails that I got.
But you wouldn't think that these were emails. But you wouldn't expect that the FBI, the Secret Service, or an emissary of the White House would arrive at your front door with concerns about this?
No, and that's why I was kind of surprised to see the police department try and arrive at my front door with concerns about it. Because, you know, I had reported it to everybody. I had reported it to the FBI. I reported it to. They also have like a cyberspace place where you can report the Nigerian scams on the internet,
Yes.
and it's like CSI, something like that. That you report when you get scammed, and then you're supposed to go ahead and they give you.
I think it's the
number.
FTC. I think it's the Federal Trade Commission that has that site.
Right, and so I reported it there. I reported it everywhere, and that I was having problems and having the scam, and asking if I was trying to verify some of these emails, and that is another thing that kept me going, is because when I tried to verify, is this a true email address, the FBI people, Nancy Savage is the one down in Eugene, Oregon, and I went into her office on my own, and I reported it, and she said, well, mainly you just have lost your money, you might as well forget it. And, I said, well, why can't you help me? Well, it's out of our jurisdiction. Well, my mother was a fighter, let's put it this way. My mother wrote President Bush's wife and every other congressman that you might think of. And so she was always fighting for her rights and always fighting to try and get things solved and settled. So that's another reason why I never gave up on it, because I was also trying to fight and get things solved and settled and get refunds back or get some restitution. Now, I did get letters saying that some people were arrested, and I did get letters saying that some people were put in jail, but I had one guy over in London that got caught for trying to hide things from me. I got another guy in France that
and
was put in jail.
you knew all this and continued sending money.
Well, yeah, because like I said, everybody was saying that they were going to give me restitution. And they said, I have to have, you have to send me $600 and I'll give you a PIN number. You have to send me $1,000 and I'll give you...
And you gave your PIN number?
No, a PIN number. They're giving me a ATM card. And then they said, well, we're giving the ATM card, but now you got to earn the PIN number. Or they're
So you had to buy the PIN number?
Yeah, then I have to buy the PIN number.
Could I ask you to hold on a moment while we take a break here? Because
Sure.
I want to find out more about this. Our guest, Janella Spears, she fell for the Nigerian scam. And wait until you hear where she got all the money to send over there. $400,000 all told. Coming up.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-866. The Tom Leykis Show. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
It's the Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. And we are joined in this segment of our program by Janella Spears of Sweet Home, Oregon. She lost over $400,000 to the Nigerian email scam we've heard so much about. Now, Janella, I'm looking at the story here. This is where I'm getting all my information. And it says here that the $400,000 came from, well, you wiped out your husband's retirement account. You mortgaged your house, which was already paid for, and you took out a lien on the family car, which was also paid for. Is that right?
No, not 100% right. The thing that I used my husband's retirement, that's not true, because I'm living on my husband's retirement. I mainly destroyed his dreams of retirement.
I see.
Because he wanted to do some cruises, and he wanted to go here, there, and everywhere and have some fun, and he's upset with me because now he can't do that. So
was he in on this? Did he know you were doing this?
Yeah. I told him he didn't agree with a lot of it. Some of it he did agree with. Because I explained to him I'm one of these open and honest people, and I never keep anything away from anybody. So that's probably one reason why I'm so easily scammed, because I'm so open and honest. But anyway, I told him what these people said, and I told them and showed them the documentation of what they were showing us. And again, we went to the banks. I did make a lot of phone calls to find out if it was true or not true, tried to find out.
Who did you call?
Oh, shoot. I've called many banks. I've called the Customs Department when they said the people were stuck in the Customs Department. I called the airport.
Did you get the number of the Customs Department from them?
No, they did give me the Customs Department number. They had.
Was it actually the Customs Department, or was it their own phone?
Well, both. I found they gave me the Customs Department, quote unquote, in Nigeria, and that was one that they gave me the phone number for. And then, lo and behold, at Christmas time, it was quote unquote closed. And then when I tried to call back after Christmas, they said that it was a bogus telephone number. So I personally looked up the Customs Department phone number on the Internet, and also the Yellow Pages, you might say, and tried to call Customs. I mean, I tell you, it's run around to try and get in touch with anybody in Customs.
Did you ever try, like, the Department of Homeland Security, for example?
No, I didn't try the Department of Homeland Security. Didn't know anything about it. That's the other problem, is I didn't really have anybody guiding me through this.
Yeah, I mean, when they talk about terrorists, wouldn't you think the Department of Homeland Security might be involved in that?
Well, no, nobody was. The police department was the one just recently, back in April, the one that talked about terrorists, but nobody else talked about terrorism. They were just talking about the 409 scam.
You walked in and told your husband, hey, look at this, I got a letter from President Bush?
Well, he was interested. He believed it. Because, you know, I've had several, even from Mueller. Some of them are signed with a handwritten signature, some are not. But the ones with a picture of President Bush and the Nigerian president walking hand in hand, you might say, over in Nigeria, where they showed this, and they gave me the president of Nigeria's ID. I also was talking to the Senator David Mark in Nigeria, and he gave me his ID, and then I looked it up on the Internet for verification. So I tried to do a lot of verifications myself to see if it was true.
And what did the senator from Nigeria tell you?
Well, again, the senator from Nigeria says, we're going to make it right for you. And again, he wanted me to send him our upfront money.
So you never actually talked to a senator from Nigeria, did you?
Well, on the phone, according to him, it was, I mean, God only knows. I got the picture, and like I said,
where did you get the phone number from?
But, well, yeah, just like I wouldn't know you on the street if I met you, because it's all by phone. So, you know, to verify.
Let me give you an example. I'm a public figure.
Right.
The only reason I'm calling you is because I saw your name on the newspaper, but I would have no reason to call you otherwise and ask you to send me money. If somebody ever called someone's home and said, hi, this is Tom Leykis, I have a radio program, I need you to send me some money, I hope they would never do it, because I would never do that.
Well, I know, and that's just the whole point. In America,
why would a senator say send money?
Yeah, in America we don't do that. But like I said, I've been told it thousands of times, well, this is a different country, and we do it this way in our country.
That you bribe public officials?
The public official's the one who said that this is what the bank is requiring, that you have to send such and such money in order to get the money transferred into your account.
But what I'm saying is, how did you know you were talking to a senator from Nigeria?
Well, again, I got the ID sent over plus the...
by the people who were scamming you. But did you ever get it? Did you ever get a phone number for the Nigerian Senate from independent sources?
From independent sources, I tried getting it off the Internet, but everything, of course, with the senator is usually pretty confidential, and it's hard to get it off the Internet. Because
the phone number for the government is confidential?
Yeah, I've tried, like I said, you try and look up President Bush's telephone number on the Internet.
Well, actually, I can do that right now while I'm sitting here with you. You want the phone number?
To get a direct
I'm typing
line.
it in right now.
To get a direct line
the phone number for the White
Internet.
House is 202-466-1111.
Okay, now you try and find Senator David Mark over in Nigeria.
Well, first of all, we don't know that there is such a senator in Nigeria.
Well, there is, because according to the Internet, after I got on the Internet to find out whether or not it was true, and it showed me his college degree and everything, and then a little bit later that said that he was one of the biggest scammers that's around. So it was more than 2 months later that they announced that this Senator David Mark was scamming and not to trust him. So, you know, of course, by that time I would already been scammed, so it was too late.
Wow. I have to take a break. Can I ask you to hold on one more time? We have so many people who want to ask you a question, and some people who've been scammed themselves.
Sure.
All right. Hang on a second. We'll continue. We are talking with Janella Spears of Sweet Home, Oregon. She sent over $400,000 to scammers in Nigeria. Your call's coming up next.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. The Tom Leykis Show. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
The Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. Thank you for tuning in. And we are talking here with Janella Spears of Sweet Home, Oregon. She lost over $400,000 in that Nigerian scam. And by the way, Janella, Senator David Mark, I did a little research during the break here. And there's a number of websites. These are fraud websites. Name Senator David Mark as being one of the fraudulent names.
Right.
Also says here that the telephone numbers that he uses in his letters are all prepaid cellular telephones from Nigeria. That it doesn't even indicate that he's a real person.
Yeah, that's why I said when I first visited the website, I did not have anything that showed any type of derogative things against Senator David Mark. And then we talked for about 2 months, and then visited the website again later, and then there was the derogative stuff against him, saying that he was a scammer.
Let's take some calls here at 1-800-5800-TOM. This is Pre on the Tom Leykis Show for our guest, Janella Spears. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I have a similar situation. It's my dad, actually. He went far as going to Zimbabwe to, where that area that Oprah built a new school, that area, regarding somebody asked them to, the upfront $200,000 to release, I believe, like $15 million, and they'll split it, similar to that sort of situation. And he wasn't going to upfront $200,000, but he went down there to investigate the whole situation, found out, and it was nothing but a big bogus, and they went far as opening the money. I let him see it, touch it, and all that nonsense, but they didn't, he didn't give him the money to release the rest of the money, because they say, if you could release $15 million, why don't you take the $200,000 out of that money, Well,
of course, that makes sense. Now, didn't you try to stop your dad from going to Zimbabwe?
Oh, numerous times. Me, my sister, everybody told him this is a big scam, and if it's too good to be true, it is most likely it's going to be bogus. It's just he is a compulsive gambler, and this is not the first time he make dumb decisions, and a lot of people. He's a character,
Wow. Thank you for the call. Julian, I'm sorry, that's a Graham. He's in Julian, California, on the Tom Leykis show for our guest, Janella Spears. Hello.
Hi, Tom. I don't really have a question for Janella. I just wanted to make a comment, and listening to this, I had read about what was going on with her in the news, and I was somewhat amazed. And I think I got my first Nigerian scam letter in the mail about 10 years ago. And they continue to come. And one of the things that's baffled me is that even though these things have become such common knowledge and they are so prevalent, I could never understand how they continue to happen and how these people can continue to find it profitable to do these scams. But I think I now understand. It only takes like one person like Janella in maybe 50,000 or 100,000 people, there might be one person who is as gullible and as stupid as this to make it worth their while. So essentially, it perpetuates, it keeps on happening because of people like her. And I don't know if there's any solution to it, but it's just, now I understand why they keep happening. It's because of people like this.
All right, Graham, thank you for that. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. This is Rita on the Tom Leykis show for our guest, Janella Spears. Hello.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I agree with the last caller. He said most of what I wanted to say. It's just amazing how people can be. He used a very nice word, gullible. I would just say stupid. This has been going around for so many years. NBC News just had a huge investigation on this, and I can't remember the reporter's name, that did go down and met with the guy, and it just amazes me how people that can have that type of money in this economy sitting in a bank have no brains to get caught up in something like this. It's just amazing. And I tend to think that maybe the people that are saying they are sending all this money over there are the scammers and the ones lying to get people to feel sorry for them or maybe get attention drawn to themselves.
You're not a scammer, are you, Janella?
No, I'm definitely not a scammer. And actually, the police wanted to find that out, too. That's one reason why they came and investigated my house and took my computer and took my cell phone to find out whether I was a scammer and whether I was laundering money. And no, I'm actually the victim. But, the things, I wasn't sitting there with $400,000 in the bank. I did not have that to begin with. And to say that I was squelching my money just to see what I can do, that's not the way it happened at all. It just got me a little bit here and a little bit there, and it voila, it added up to $400,000. I didn't expect to ever. If I was to sit there 3 years ago and say that I had $400,000 to give out to a scam, that was not exactly, that would be a totally impossibility. The whole thing in my mind was to get the money to share with my family and also share with the poor. People have accused me of being greedy and wanting to have money, and no, it has not anything to do with me being greedy and wanting to have the money for myself. I'm a reverend and I'm also a Christian, and I wanted to share with the poor. I've been a nurse, and I also wanted to share medical. Always wanted to be, a goal of my life was to be a missionary nurse, and this is one of the things that I had in the back of my mind ever since I was 8 years old, to be a missionary nurse. And so Africa was one of the places that is covered with AIDS and covered with HIV, covered with a lot of illnesses, and I wanted to try and help them out. So actually, in the back of my mind was being more helpful, not to be gullible. And if I did lose all of that money over to Africa, I'm hoping that the money that is going for that, not for drug money, not for people getting rich in their condos. Well, my idea of what money should be used for is totally different than what they're probably using it for. But in my mind, that is what I was hoping it to be used for, and I was hoping it to be used wisely. I've talked to different missionaries over there in Africa, I've talked to pastors over in Africa, different churches over in Africa, and also trying to get medications over the counter over to Africa to try and help the sick. And these are the things that I had in the back of my mind. It had nothing to do with me ever trying to be a scammer to them. I mean, that's totally ridiculous. I haven't got a penny from them yet.
Makes sense to me. Thank you very much for the call. Our guest, Janella Spears at Sweet Home, Oregon, lost $400,000 to the Nigerian email scam. More of your telephone calls for Janella are coming up.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. The Tom Leykis Show. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
It's the Tom Leykis Show from Hollywood. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. We are here with Janella Spears of Sweet Home, Oregon. She was scammed out of $400,000 in the famous Nigerian email scam. Let's say hello to Dre on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello, Dre. Are you there?
Yeah.
Say hello.
What's going on, Tom?
Not much, Dre.
Oh, nothing much. Hey, I got two things to say. The first thing I want to say is, hey, Janelle, I got some oceanfront property in Idaho I want to sell you.
I know Idaho really well. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I've got a bridge that goes to Brooklyn, though.
I know that, too. You want to sell me a bridge, too. And probably if you give it to me for $1, I'll buy it.
No, but the second thing, you know, I was listening. She said she was a pastor. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Now, she said she was a pastor, and she also said she wasn't a scammer. Now, all the pastors that I've ran into, they pretty much scam artists. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if anybody else understands what I'm saying, but, I mean, they get you to put all this money into tithes. And I mean, you know, in the Bible it say pay tithes 10% or whatever, but then they try to get you to pay more. They try to get the little housing costs and all this other stuff, you know, and then they be driving like BMWs and Mercedes and Aston Martins and Porsches. You know what I mean? So I know you ain't making all of that off the congregation money. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? So if you can explain that, I'll listen to the call off the air. But thanks a lot, Tom.
Thank you for the call, Dre. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. Dorothy on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, Tom. I just turned on the radio. I just got out of work. I wanted to talk about the scams because I work at Walmart. And at Walmart, we have MoneyGram. And there's so many elderly people that are getting scammed. Right now, the hottest spots are Nigeria, Canada, and Europe. And what they do is they say you've won a lottery. And you have to pay so much money before they can give you the lottery. So they're real sneaky about it because when you send MoneyGram, if you send $900 cash, then you're fine. After you send $900, you have to show an ID. Now, anything over $900 to pick it up, you have to have two forms of ID. But what they do is that they have these elderly people sending like $2,900 because after September 11th, they have the new money laundering laws, and they make it real more difficult. And if you send $3,000 and more, we have a Patriot Act book, and we have to log in your Social Security, your address, your Social Security number, and your ID. But what they're doing to these elderly people is they're finding them, the gullible ones, and they're telling them lies. One, for instance, is this elderly lady came in last month, and she said that she was sending money to Canada, and she was sending right underneath $2,899. So right there, that's a red flag for us. So we kind of question her without her getting suspicious or getting, scaring her off, you know, without being too nosy. And we tell her, oh, who are you sending the money to, and this and that. Well, they like to talk, so they'll start telling us, oh, well, my grandson's in trouble. And that's one of the things they'll do is these elderly people, they don't talk to their family don't really call them, they live alone. And so they think their grandson's in trouble. So they send this money over there. well, this one lady, we had told her, well, this is one of the scams. And I said, did you talk to your grandson? And she said, no, his friend called me. And I said, well, do you know his friend? She didn't know. She just said, and I said, you need to be very careful. There's a lot of scams going on. And she's like, oh, okay, thank you. And I go, do you still want to send the money? And she said, yeah, my grandson's in trouble. I said, well, when they call you back, when you go home, ask a personal question. So she did. Well, she came right back and she said that it was supposed to be her grandson. And she told him, well, it doesn't sound like you. And then he's like, oh, I'm sick right now. And she said, well, answer this question. And he didn't know how to do it. So she hung up and she came back. And luckily she was able to, get her money back. We gave it right back to her. We called MoneyGram and fixed it. But a lot of times...
Sounds like there's a lot of that, but we can't keep on with one call. We got to keep moving. Thanks for the call. Here's Andrew on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
I thank you for the service that you provide to us. I am, all I got to say is I am dumbfounded by the idiocracy of this woman. I think, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I think her intentions were somewhat selfish as opposed to what she claims. She said she personally spoke to missionaries. She couldn't have directly given the funds there. She wasted a whole fortune. I don't feel sorry for her. I feel sorry for her husband. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Here is, let's see, we got so many here at 1-800-5800-TOM. We have time for one more here. Let's try to get Travis in here on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing okay, Travis.
Fantastic. Yeah, I just wanted to call in. That almost happened to me. I had an email come through from a guy who claimed to be a lawyer to a late uncle of mine who was a civil engineer in Nigeria, who just deposited some $48 million into an account and just passed away. So he needed my address, my name, my phone number, all that stuff. And I sent it to him. He got back to me and said he needed like $500 sent over. I said, no, I'm not sending you any money. And eventually he brought it down to $250. And then I walked into the place to send the money, and the guy told me it was a scam right there. I figured, you know what, it's only $250. But eventually, I ended up not sending it, and it's a good thing because I never heard from the guy again.
Wow, wow, wow. Stephen on the Tom Leykis Show for Janella Spears. Hello.
Hey, Tom, what's up?
Not much.
I wanted to point out how she said she's a pastor, but she's not a scammer. That's kind of an oxymoron. I mean, God is great, and he helps everyone, but for some reason he needs all of our money? What's that about?
Well, money is the root of all evil, let's put it that way. And I personally have lived in the poorhouse for a long, long time. And I know how to scrape and scramble. And I know that God will provide. Now, because of all of that, the situation of the loss of money hasn't bothered me as much as it has my husband, who has not had to live in that particular type of situation where I've been to the poorhouse. I started out with my entrepreneurship by selling potholders that my mother was making, and I had a little red wagon. At 6 years old, I went door to door trying to sell potholders so we could get food.
We're out of time for this hour.
The Tom Leykis Show. 97.1 FM Talk.